Hello, my name is Reverend Dr. May Elise Cannon. Today is Tuesday, October 15th. Today is day 375. I'm going to keep giving these daily updates. Just a reminder, Thursday's update will be a summary of the news from the preceding week. I had a procedure done on my neck, so I apologize. That's why I'm like this, but everything's fine. But let me give you the news of what's happening in the Middle East. Use this news as a way to pray, as a way to inform your advocacy. Use this as a way to contact your elected officials, to call for an end to the utter chaos that's happening in Gaza and in Lebanon. That's not in the best interest of anyone in the Middle East. Today, in a rare move, the U.S. intensified pressure and warned Israel that arms transfers from the U.S. could halt unless the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza improves within the next month. This was an admonition. It was sent in a letter yesterday to the Israeli government. It came amid concerns over civilian deaths, along with the dwindling access by aid groups in the north of Gaza. Since the spring, the amount of aid that has been delivered to Gaza has dropped by more than 50%, the U.S. has said. They noted that aid deliveries have dropped more than 50%, even though in March and in April, Israel assured that it would allow in more humanitarian aid as in accordance with U.S. humanitarian law. They added that the amount of aid entering Gaza in September was the lowest of any month in the last year. I'd encourage you, if you have not looked at the most recent humanitarian snapshot that came out from a number of humanitarian agencies, CMEP signed off on that as well. You can find that on our website under statements. An Israeli diplomatic source said that the U.S. has informed Israel that it will stop supplying weapons if Israel continues to block U.S. humanitarian aid from Gaza. So that was verified by an Israeli source as well. The death toll in Gaza is at least 42,344 Palestinians killed and at least 99,013 people wounded, almost 100,000 people, according to the official numbers. The UN official accused Israel of atrocities after tent shelters were set on fire in Gaza. I shared about that in yesterday's update. A U.S. National Security Council spokesperson said the White House had made their concerns clear to the Israeli government after the airstrike yesterday on the hospital compound in Gaza set fire to tents that housed displaced people. At least 4 people were killed. The Israeli military claimed the hospital was being used as a command center for militants, namely Hamas. Israeli military strikes killed at least 40 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip as Israeli forces closed in on Jabalia. That was today. Palestinian health officials said that Israeli fire killed at least 11 people in Al-Fallujah, the largest of 8 refugee camps in Gaza, while Israeli missiles killed 10 other people in eastern Khan Yunis. The UN said that there are about 400,000 Palestinians that are still trapped in the north. I'll just remind you that the churches that we have close relationships with, those are also in North Gaza. That's the Latin Catholic Church and the St. Porphyrius Church as well. Aid agencies are warning of a humanitarian disaster in northern Gaza amid an increased Israeli military push and evacuation orders. In the north, an already starving population has been cut off from food since the beginning of the month while trying to dodge bombs and bullets in a kill zone as they cannot leave. Save the Children's Middle East regional director said that in a statement that was reported by ABC News. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant told Lloyd Austin, our U.S. Secretary of Defense, yesterday that the IDF, this was on Sunday, that the IDF is not carrying out a starvation plan in Gaza proposed by former Israeli generals. That was according to Israeli officials. In Lebanon, there was a rare Israeli strike on the far north where at least 21 people were killed. This was very unusual because of how far north it was located, but also the area is a primarily Christian area called Zartat. It's far from Hezbollah's main areas where they operate and where they have the greatest influence in the south and in the east. Meanwhile, Netanyahu said that Israel will continue to strike Hezbollah without mercy everywhere in Lebanon and including in Beirut. Lebanon's health ministry said Tuesday that 2,350 people in Lebanon have been killed since October 8th of last year. including 1,740 people killed since Israel has expanded its attacks on Lebanon since mid-September of this year. The UN Human Rights Office said it received reports that 12 women and 2 children were among the 22 people killed in the strike on Monday on the North Lebanese town of Aito. In addition, a top UNICEF official said that more than 400,000 children in Lebanon have been displaced in the past 3 weeks. Hezbollah's deputy chief, Naim Qassem, said the organization asked to cease the fighting and will retreat 10 kilometers in to not provoke Israel, but they demanded that there needs to be a ceasefire in Gaza. It's not possible to separate Lebanon from Palestine, Qassem said. Since Israel has attacked anywhere in Lebanon, we have the right to attack anywhere in Israel, and we will focus on targeting the Israeli military, its centers, and its barracks. Netanyahu said yesterday that he rejected the accusations that Israeli troops had targeted intentionally UNIFIL peacekeepers in Lebanon, and he called for the mission to be withdrawn from combat regions. A UNIFIL spokesperson later confirmed the mission is staying under a Security Council mandate. The Pentagon announced that the U.S. Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System arrived in Israel along with the U.S. personnel required to operate it. Netanyahu told the U.S. that Israel will strike Iranian military, but not nuclear or oil targets, according to officials. The signal is being seen in Washington as a sign of restraint after there were concerns on an Israeli airstrike that would potentially hit oil or nuclear facilities and the possibility that that could trigger a wider war. There's a concern that Israel is facing a serious shortage of interceptor missiles, according to former military officials. Analysts told the Financial Times. A former senior U.S. defense official told the Financial Times that if Iran responds to Israel's attack with a massive airstrike campaign, and if Hezbollah were to join in, that Israel's air defenses would be quite stretched, and the U.S. will not continue to supply Ukraine and Israel at the same pace, that they are reaching a tipping point. A police officer was killed and 4 civilians were wounded in a shooting attack on a main highway in South Israel when an assailant fired on passing vehicles with a handgun, and a truck driver traveling south noticed the attack, exited his vehicle, and shot the assailant dead. The assailant was identified as a Palestinian from the West Bank who was born in North Gaza. Defense Minister Gallant told hostages' families that Hamas is hardening its stance on negotiations for a hostage deal and is likely waiting for developments in the fighting with Iran and Hezbollah, adding that the organization does not want talks to progress because they have nothing to lose. Gallant said that communication with Hamas and Sinwar has been slow, but that the group insists on Biden's July framework for a truce, and that currently almost no U.S. involvement has happened with the negotiations. The UK government announced sanctions on 7 different Israeli groups connected with illegal construction in the West Bank and sponsored violence against communities in the West Bank, adding that measures put strict financial restrictions on those who commit those acts. And the IDF said that it killed an Islamic Jihad operative in south of Jenin and arrested 20 other people, individuals across the West Bank, saying that rifles, munitions, and military gear were retrieved in that operation. Finally, top German leaders blocked weapons sales to Israel, pending assurances that it would not use German weapons against civilian targets. So that's the update of the news in the past 24 hours or so. Continue in your efforts, praying for peace, calling for a comprehensive ceasefire, advocating for justice and end to war and all violence in the Middle East.